Let's work. Turn it down and listen to the experts. Gotta give a shout to the Talking Junk Network. Showing love, hosting battles, playing dope joints. The break room topics always staying on point. Never disappoint. We'll never need a makeover. We here for the takeover like Jehovah. Talking Junk break room takeover on the podcast. Dropping bomb facts on demand like Comcast. Now drop a comment whenever they're going live. Hit the YouTube channel right now and go subscribe. Peace.
Talking Junk Network,
where entertainment lives.
Welcome to Talking Junk.
I'm your host, Jason Melendez.
Live now every week.
Talking Junk.
A multitude of professionals in different aspects, different walks of life.
You have to come on and talk junk like a normal person.
Let me tell you guys about these new Dizzle edibles. Now, I know you probably heard of the drink, and just like the drink, these edibles are the truth. I'm typically a smoker, and I usually like to do it before I drive to take some of the angst off this LA traffic. But with these edibles, I don't even think about rolling up. I don't have to worry about the aroma when I get out of the car, my eyes being red. I just pop in one and I'm good to go. I'm feeling happy and ready to just take on my day. Each edible comes with 25 milligrams. You get 10 in a package, which is more than enough because, again, all you need is one and it'll get you right.
It's time for all things cereal. Games with cereal. We try cereal and we let you know. So if you love cereal, we love cereal. Super cereal.
We're giving away 1,000 bottles of syrup. If you go to the syrup store at syrup.com and put in the discount code free bottles TikTok, then you can receive a free bottle of syrup. Just pay for shipping. Very easy. We're going to do the first 1,000 bottles.
Welcome to Talking Junk, the podcast that comes to you live every week. This is actually the first TJNF. You know what that stands for? Talking Junk Network Fridays. We're coming to you back to back tonight with both shows. Talking Junk first, right now, that's what you're watching, and we're going to come right back on after this show with the break room. The fellas are going to be there. It's going to be a thing. You already know. Tonight, we got a great guest for you. Author of Swept Up Lessons from the End Times, Mr. Matt Garnier. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, Jason, I'm doing good, man. Honored to be debuting Talking Junk Friday broadcast here. What a privilege.
So it's been a little bit of a time debacle for us. So we've originally been on Fridays Talking Junk, and then I moved it to Tuesdays for convenience purposes and moved my other show from Saturday to Friday.
Yeah.
And Tuesdays is not working out. I want to kind of market myself like a radio show. So the best way to do that is to put both my shows on back to back, maybe every day, but I'm not there yet.
Yeah, or just start at 4 a.m., like a real radio host.
Holy shit, then I'd never get to work. I don't know how I'd pay the bills.
That would suck. Those people just they run on some kind of either insane natural chemistry or it's cocaine every day. I don't know.
Cocaine every day, that's 90s radio right there.
I think it is. I think it might be.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into your book? I know I read in our calendar, my calendar app, that you are the Y guy.
The Y guy. Did I call myself that?
Your audio went out.
Oh, shoot.
Or was that my speaker? Might have been my speaker. Here we go, folks. We are no strangers.
Well, they know if I'm still here or not.
Problems. Give me 2 seconds and we'll see if it's me or if it is you. Hello.
All
right, it's me. I can hear you now.
Cool. Gives me a minute to think about who I am to explain that mystery of the universe. So yeah, I live in North Carolina. I've been writing in some form or another all my life. Last year, I spent basically full-time hours writing a book and turned it into kind of a mix of a memoir and blended some of my comedy and philosophy components of my personality into it. And everybody has kind of a different takeaway on it, honestly. For some people, it's like it's any of those three. You know, it's like comedy, or it's a thesis on or against religion, or I mean, like I said, everyone has a different takeaway, but I wrote it to try to convey like a lot of thoughts that have been building up over the years about why people believe the things that they believe, the effects that can have both on themselves and on the world. And so that's a lot of the kind of stuff that I'm like always thinking about. But
Right.
in terms of just like the way I present myself to the world, I don't want to be like a boring person or a hard ass or like any of that. I want to be
there's
fun.
no way you could be that way. You're like, that's human nature to ask the why. And if you push the why factor, then that doesn't show that you're a boring kind of person or somebody that is a hard ass. It's more like you push the envelope in the way that it should be pushed. We all should be asking why. Why is the government treating us the way it does? Why is the world run on the cycle that it does? Why are we all pawns? It all fits together.
Because so many people don't ask why. That's why.
Right, exactly. There's a guy on TikTok that said it the best. He was like, if you really want change, everybody collectively just stop going to work.
Damn.
One Monday morning, everybody in the world just stop going, and it'll turn the world upside down. Everything will stop just because of one day.
It definitely will. You might end up sacrificing the bulk of a generation to run the experiment. It's not gonna it's not gonna resolve itself in a day, but you'll definitely get a glimpse of what direction things go. Like who compromises first in that situation, you know? I mean, COVID was kind of an example, right? When it was like, oh, this is an emergency. Like, oh, there was all that money available. Okay.
And anybody could think about is fucking toilet paper.
Right. That kept everybody fighting in the supermarkets for a while. I did like a comedy rap about that while it was happening, but it was too current for me to even like know what angle I was taking.
Oh, come on. We got to hear a part of it.
If I play something on YouTube, does it play here?
Yes. You should have the ability on your screen it should say present, and then you can share it. But I do have your YouTube page up. Is it on there?
It's way down there. Hold on. I'll probably be able to find it. Here we go. I got it. You want me to share?
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, this is super random, man. Here we go. There's my present.
Now, Matt owns the rights to this. It's on his YouTube page, so YouTube, don't be a dickhead and take my shit down.
Take it.
YouTube, they have a hard on for me ever since I made an episode about the elite and a certain type of food. So
really?
I got banned for a little while. Yeah, I don't want to say the word and then we get banned. So.
I understand. Yeah. Talking about the elites, that can get sketchy.
There's been a week of national action and of great national solidarity. People are getting along. We're getting along. Republicans and Democrats and independents. And actually, it's a very nice thing to see.
Matt Garnier featuring Donald Trump.
You know why? Because it's time to prevent my demise by coronal extinction event. I'm versed in the art of asocial behavior. A blessing and curse, gotta be my own savior. No matter the threat, if it comes from the sky or some, let's just say, not quite American guy. Look, I'm just saying what everyone knows. Sorry, in a crisis, my prejudice shows. Fact is that I face unreckoned oppression. So young and already my second recession. The kid in the schoolyard who nobody picked him. I'll school you at playing the part of the victim.
All right, I don't know how much of that you want to hear, but you get the idea. So please see the sarcasm in what I'm saying. Is it was a mockery of pretty much every voice that was rising to the top of
You look like that was hard for you to hear again.
Yeah, pretty much anything I make is, but I also will like force myself to listen and watch it endlessly, and that's how I get better.
So your book, half memoirs, half facts. Now, where do you draw the medium on that? Where's that middle portion?
It's all truthful, but where it diverges from story to me giving like a broader universal thesis is where it becomes speculation, right? So it's story then principle, but because it's so philosophical in nature, it's debatable, right? So like I'll talk about my experience in church, and then I'll talk about why buying into a doctrine is unhealthy, for example, right? So that's like me applying it to the world beyond my world, which was kind of a little bubble. But I think that makes it a good vehicle to illustrate concepts about people in general, if, at least in the circles that I know. I mean, anywhere I think that you find a lot of people adhering to a certain doctrine on anything, I mean, that's the basis of a cult, right? But I'm not trying to say that I grew up in a cult. I'm saying everybody has some experience with a related phenomenon to cult behavior. And then you can extrapolate that and see how much that sort of thinking, that ideological thinking permeates everything. All of us have like an element of buying into things just because it's like, yeah, I'm with that. That feels good, you know?
Right.
And everyone has a different level of commitment to it. Some people will like filter it out pretty quickly. Some people like really stick to a thing. Just
it all has to do with relation, right? You have to kind of relate to the thing that you're consuming.
Right. Yeah, you've got to have a healthy relationship to it. And I mean, I'm even guilty of sometimes being like, this person's saying a few things that really click. I'm going to agree with them on everything. And then I become a blind follower of that person until I realize like I was just assuming that they are reliable on every point about everything, and nobody is.
Right. You drank the Jim Jones Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't, I've never been, no, I've bought into some things that were pretty darn false, but I've always been skeptical about anything that a lot of people are buying into.
Anything you'd like to divulge?
nothing that it's like terrible, but I mean, I'll go into more detail about what my background is. So I grew up in a church that is, I mean, not like totally whack and off the wall, but similar to probably a lot of people's experience, where the church upbringing kind of encouraged families to keep their kids really contained, right? Like sheltered from a lot of outside influences. And so it was we were all a lot more likely to eat up everything that we were told from a religious perspective, because we weren't hearing a lot of other perspectives. And religious doctrine when you're a kid can be very scary if you take it seriously.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff about the end of the world. At least in my experience, there was a lot of stuff about judgment, the afterlife, which is terrifying no matter what your opinion about it is, I think.
I mean, at least you didn't end up like Allison Mack.
Tell me about Allison Mack.
Oh, have you ever seen Smallville, my good friend?
Yeah, I've never watched Smallville.
So let me show you who she is, and then I'll show you what she did. She got into some kind of sex cult, to be honest.
Okay.
I'll show you who she is.
Well, of all the
to have
types of
heard of her
cults,
before.
I understand the appeal of a sex cult.
Right.
At least you're getting something out of it.
I can't agree too much. My wife's sitting right here. So Allison Mack is this young lady right here. Is it still going with it? It is. Let's see. Oh, there it is right here. NXIVM, the NXIVM cult.
So this is the actual actress.
The actual actress.
Well, that really was good for their PR, I bet.
I mean,
Cult, not Smallville.
it ends up that way most of the time for these troubled child stars. It's either drugs, sex, or alcohol, or all three.
Yeah. It's anybody who's searching for something, that's kind of the thing I've realized is like people fall into crazy belief systems to fill a gap in their own life, which, I mean, ironically, they're usually not denying that in religion. They are saying, I have a hole in my heart that needs to be filled with Jesus. And I'm not trying to rip on Christianity, even though that is the experience I draw from. But I'm saying,
trust me, you don't have to sugarcoat anything here.
I know, but I really truly don't hate Christianity because those are my people, even though I recognize the flaws in creating a religion of any kind. You know what I mean? So I kind of walk this line. Now I'll be honest about what I believe and what I don't believe, but I don't mean to disrespect anyone from that particular group. Some. Anyway, the idea is that you have a vacancy in your life that you need to fill, but it ends up being such a different thing for everyone. Some people are like repairing a trauma from their past. Some are dealing with the existential crisis of what happens to me when I die, and they just cannot handle it. And that, whether I was naturally inclined to think that way or whether that was kind of given to me through religion, I had that crisis myself where I was like, but what is the meaning if there's not heaven on the other side? And that fear in itself was enough for me to buy into a whole belief system, even though I didn't honestly believe it. I could tell myself that I believed it. So I think even people who claim to believe the craziest things do believe that they believe it.
Right, which is how you end up with things like this and then not believe in the things that you tattoo on yourself after.
Yeah, I've got a couple crosses. I mean, symbolically, it's got meaning. Like, I'm never going to deny that. I'm just going to be like, none of you actually know who Jesus is or what he really did or didn't say.
My biggest takeaway from religion is you kind of go against your own rules, right? Because one of the main things in Catholic or Christianity is you're only supposed to worship God. There's no other deity. You only recognize him. However, everybody in both those religions think Jesus is God, is the end all be all. And he is not. So you are kind of breaking your own sacred rules there by not by kind of worshiping him how you're worshiping him. You know what I mean? It's
as opposed to like a classical like Jewish view of God where it's just God, no human incarnation. Yeah, maybe that's why. I don't know. I always just kind of took at not face value, because there isn't a face value to it, but the idea of like there's different persons there's the God in heaven, the physical God, and then the spirit that lives in our minds. Basically, I was like, yeah, whatever. I could see how those things would work together, but yeah, like my parents' generation, they were tripping on that concept, even though it was their thing. Like it bothered them. They all drank the Kool-Aid. And they needed to create metaphors to be like, yeah, it's like water has different forms, like it bothered them that they couldn't really rationalize that piece of it, even though when water has different forms, it's changing forms. And that's not what the Trinity is said to be doing. But anyway,
my friend.
So yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, that could go into complex theology for sure, which I can talk about. And sometimes people won't even realize that I'm more of an ex-evangelical than an evangelical.
So what are your stance as it is now on the whole religious aspect of life? Do you still partake in some of the ideologies that are out there, or do you kind of have your own beliefs?
So I will say this, there is a place for practicing tradition and sacrament and those sort of things. there's a bigger place for embracing uncertainty. To me, the definition of religion is when you have to create certainty. I think I'm like a lot of people who've realized that the church does not have the conclusive answers that it claims to. They drift, which feels like a bad thing at first, right? Like that's a taboo, like you're drifting away from God, but they just ideologically are like, okay, I'm not buying that hook, line, and sinker. They examine ideas for themselves, figure out what they do and don't believe. And then when they realize most of that, they can't put an answer on the big questions in life. Sometimes the response is embrace a few traditions that they would have been more cynical about before. So like some people end up going back to like a very orthodox church and being like, well, if it's all speculation anyway, let me partake in some ceremonies, like where that's more built into it than the one that's just a pastor spitting like he knows what he's talking about.
Right.
I don't really get involved in religious ceremony of any kind at all. I don't.
Oh, come on, Matt. You mean you don't whip yourself with the whip of penance?
No, I only figuratively flagellate myself according to a standard that I can't even put a name on. So, I mean, that's a natural struggle, though, I think, to be like, well, what is the standard that I'm adhering to?
Right.
There needs to be a code for it. And I think that when you let go of that for a little bit, you actually become more attuned to whatever it is that is naturally directing you. Now, that's the thing that I'm still like, that's like a divine mystery, is whatever it is that actually tells each of us there's some concept of good worth aiming for. Like there is good and there's bad, not just morally, like not just for survival. That's usually what morals and rules are. It's what helps us to survive best, and balancing individual pursuits from like group needs. But on a bigger level than that we each have an idea of like, this is a thing to strive for. Even just pleasure and pain, like that, it is pretty fascinating that something says it matters.
Right. Well, according to Ja Rule, pleasure is pain. And I'll tell you one thing that kind of navigates our way through life. That, my friend, is a word from our sponsors.
Me and my team, whenever we link up, they're gonna be drink up. We still gonna relax and have few glasses when there's things to think about. Like I'm nice with the boss when I tend to the bars, and I'm not talking drink ups. So tell the bartender that tend to the bar to please pass me a big cup up. And tell that waitress is waiting on us to put a little ice in it. Now watch the ice become weightless like the spaceships that I be sitting in. No wait and listen, no they're waiting for that tropical twist that'll take your taste buds. Now taste some. Now I insist it's the drizzle.
These commercials are fire, bro. I hope everyone's getting to see the same ones I'm seeing.
Thank you, sir. I work hard on these things.
Do you make them?
So I get most of these things sent to me from the sponsor, and then I throw them together and I make them my own.
I love it.
I mean, we live off these things, you know, Excalibars. We got the Dizzle here. Where's the camera? Right there.
Yeah, I'm buying in.
Some more Dizzle. I would show you the syrup, but the kids ate it all.
That I wasn't even sure if that was like real or not. Like that could have been. It could have been a spoof.
Oh, it's very real. Go to syrup.com right now and enter free bottle TikTok to try to get your free bottle.
I think that might be happening. Say no more.
See, like I said, we let our sponsors navigate the waters for us, so we know exactly what we're following. We never follow blindly.
Yeah. All these podcasters out here saying that that they really truly love Alpha Brain and that bull crap. Nah, get out of here.
Hey, if Rogan wants to send me a bottle, I'll be brutally honest. Seriously.
Okay.
Just like this Dizzle stuff, man. If you ask, if you go on Instagram and you take a look at Little Rock Obama's stuff, he's an artist, a rap artist, and he has his own podcast. Also, he has his own drink made with Dizzle called what is it? Icebreaker Punch, and he likes to promote it as an aphrodisiac.
Smart angle.
Yeah, I mean it's true. It makes things hard and other things wet.
If nothing else, the placebo will get you somewhere.
Right. Let's not speak too much about
yeah, maybe not
what happens there, because we already spoke about Allison Mack and now aphrodisiacs. We're walking that fine Nexium line. All right, so you were just getting ready to fill us in a little more on your views, your worldly views.
Oh, sure. Yeah, so I hit you with the very broad angle. There's I have opinions on many things.
What are one of the things that you feel you have a strong opinion on and other people just seem to let it brush by them?
Okay. I feel like culturally speaking, like the idea of protecting your own like self-protection to the point of dishonesty, where like people don't really appreciate an honest perspective. Like they say they do, but if someone really like goes all out and says what they feel in a way that they've truly thought about a lot, right? Like you hear people just screaming about whatever off the top of their heads and know what people's like, yeah, fine. You know, but if someone really like cultivates an opinion and shares it, it's not always received very well. Sometimes it can be like, it makes people uncomfortable, right? People want to keep their lives guarded. And sometimes it feels almost intrusive to them if you like try to breach or broach bigger topics.
Right. People really don't, when they ask you what your honest opinion is, they don't want your true to life honest opinion. They want what your version of what they want to hear is.
The best example is that we ask, how are you? Like that's
right.
That speaks to the culture so much. If you actually answer that question, it's gonna make people so uncomfortable. But yeah, I'm a big advocate for honesty, and I think that starts with yourself. Like you have to. It does take a while to get to a point where you've been real enough with yourself to where you can express it well and say something that's impactful. I just wish that people were a little more ready to receive it when you do. Now, obviously, there are people who, you know, they've made a living talking about big ideas and deep topics. I'm not saying like, oh yeah, they should listen to me, but like just in general, you know, if I even talk about heavy stuff on YouTube or whatever, people are like, maybe you should take that down, man. Like that's probably not a good look. But I'm like, no, this is like exactly what I feel. I could not express myself better. So I find that to be like a little disheartening sometimes, but then you find the right people. You're like, okay, they exist. You can talk to, you just got to know who to talk to. Everybody's got the right group for them.
Right. There's always that one person out of a group that does share your views. They're kind of hard to find because most of the time they're keeping to themselves because they don't want people to look at them funny or like you were saying, you know, maybe you should take that down. That's a little heavy.
Yeah, and like
it's
I don't
heavy
even
for you. You know what I mean? It's because your small brain can't comprehend what I'm throwing out.
Yeah, and I'm not throwing out any like radical ideas. I don't care how much someone disagrees. If they're able to express themselves honestly, I feel like we're gonna have a good back and forth. And
Right.
those kind of people are usually like more open to honesty in general. So it's like this sub community of honest people, and not the majority.
Absolutely. Now, before we close out, what is your biggest why question? The one that bothers you, the one that you keep going back to and you can't find the bottom of the pit to grease your fingers.
Why do we have consciousness? Like, I'm not sure everyone shares my awe at the fact that we have this component that seems to be completely separate from the brain. A lot of people are pretty willing to accept that it's just part of the brain. I can't see that. To me, it's the biggest thing pointing to there being some kind of outside force, like that it is that outside force itself.
Right.
That it is, if anything, is like pointing to God. It's that force seems to be drawing from outside and yet going through us. And then that like the physical world is like the material lens that it passes through. I think that's a pretty profound why question, or what question, I guess. But I also, I spend my days also asking dumb things like, I don't know, why certain people have celebrity status. Like it's
right.
There's so many why questions in the world. There's the little ones and then there's the big ones.
Matt, it's probably because majority of their life, their asshole hurts. So that's why they have celebrity status.
And they figured out the right way to talk about
it. Yeah, with the mouth that nobody sees. So, Matt, I want to thank you for coming on, man. I know it's a little frustrating right now with the format that we got. However, I do want to extend the invitation. You can stay for the next podcast if you want and blur minds with us. It gets pretty freaky in there, but I know with all your views, with all your whys, you are a perfect fit for the break room.
Let's do it.
All right, I'll send you the link.
All right.
Let me just say this. Thank you guys for coming out tonight and bearing with us. We know we're always under construction, but that's because we're trying to make a better, flawless product for you. And if a better, flawless product means 3 or 4 hours worth of Talking Junk Network on one day, then God damn it, guess what we're doing? We're going to sit here for 3-4 fucking hours and give you the best in content that there is out there. We got the best commercials. We got the best intro. We have the best guests. And if you're asking why that is, then you're just like Matt. You're asking the right fucking questions. We love you. Tune in every week. What day? We have no fucking clue. But we can tell you right now, we're coming on with the break room right now. Peace out.